I'll declare the meeting of the Smart Finance Committee open at 10 a.m. Welcome to committee members and staff. No members of the media, surprisingly. Just like to mention, this meeting is being recorded and will be published on YouTube and the QLS website after the meeting. There's been no apologies, so we don't have to do anything there. I'll just ask for any declarations of conflicts of interest. Okay. Noted. No speakers in public forum. Quite surprising, but anyway. There's no matters lying on the table. So, confirmation of the agenda. We need a resolution for the confirmation of the agenda. There are no changes to the agenda I'm aware of. All those in favour? Aye. Motion carried. So far, so good. Confirmation of the minutes from the meeting held on the 17th of March. Anybody get a read of those? Any comments or changes?
Just a comment. It's because this is a noting committee. I think it would be quite useful if some of the advice or requests or comments just a little bit more got recorded in the minutes, so that it's useful and easier to pass on to the other elected members. Just to same with risk insurance.
Cool. We'll take it on board. You're right, Jan. So no other changes or comments. Then I'll pass a resolution at the minutes. I'll move the motion at the minutes of the meeting of the QLC Smart Finance Committee held on the 17th of March 2026 be confirmed as a true and correct record. Second. Thank you. Those in favour? Aye. Motion carried. That brings us to item 1. 2026 year-to-date financial overview of OPEX and CAPEX. Okay. Thank you for the report. If you guys want to speak to it or highlight any major highlights, please feel free, or we'll take it as read. Okay, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Questions, discussion?
Question. Just wondering whether you could just talk through these overspend infrastructure. Every time or every year we see an overspend infrastructure. How do we manage that? And is there any lessons learned, I guess, every year? Can we move to a different one? Overspend and elected members' expenses. What was that?
We want to start with the CAPEX question.
Got any CAPEX questions?
They're sort of OPEX because I have revenue. It wasn't. I can probably answer. Not really. We're on 3/4 renewals, but that's not CAPEX.
The elected members one's probably an easier one to.
Yes, part of it's election costs. So we had an increased cost because we now have an external electoral officer instead of an internal one that we used to have. And also the electoral costs actually cost more, and we get a portion back from ORC as well. But yeah, most of it's election related.
Okay.
And the induction, subsequent induction.
Okay. It would be nice maybe put that detail in here so that it doesn't look like we're
so we know what the red flag is.
we're spending too much.
So saying step 1 of the induction program is really
Long time.
3 months.
Yeah.
Next year should be good.
The next members' expenses reads as our expenses.
Yeah,
We have expense
travel.
line, so it's particular terminology. It might be good to sort of change that a little.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
I have a CAPEX question. I just, as a new person, when I look at, we reforecast our, 25-26 budget, and then we say it's at 83%. But when you actually look at the budget that we put in the annual plan, or is it the long-term plan, it's is 164.8 million, and our new forecasted budget is 93.8. And so that's actually a 57% of spend. And I know that I don't quite understand why we reforecast, but do we keep an internal record of what our actual budget was so that we can go, oh, every year we're like at 50%, should we not forecast so much, or?
It is reviewed and it is noted each time that, it's significantly different. I mean, generally what always happens is there's a number of reasons why you have carry forwards.
Yeah.
And so once you've added a whole lot of carry forwards from the prior year, your existing annual plan or long-term plan budget is sort of out of step with the latest knowledge, essentially. So generally there's a first main reforecast in the December council meeting.
Yeah.
That resets the budgets based on all the latest information, because there's a lot of things
That's the one
outside
that
of
you should
project
actually go.
manager's control. What
Just do
developers are doing, or
Whatever happens in the world.
various land issues, and so there is that chance to reset in December, and then generally just track to that. Generally the last report is just unders and overs in the current year, so we don't give them the chance again to defer it or bring it forward. So
Yeah.
sort of one main
Yeah.
chance. Occasionally we do it earlier, reforecast in October, just in case there's really urgent adjustments that need to get approved and move a project along, but it's not desired ideally. It's sort of one main
December
chance in December
forecast
to
is- yeah.
reset based on the latest forecast. That way everyone kind of knows what your target is that should be realistic at that time, but there's always things that keep coming up that
That's what you're saying.
examples at the moment
That's
that
good to
the
understand.
horizontal, the drilling machines on Robbins Road, problems with failures there, and Sevier to Franklin conveyance, they
Yeah,
just
it's
have all
always
this
going to be great.
weak ground conditions that completely divert the original route. So there's things that you don't
You
know when
can't
you're
control. Yeah, I guess.
The underlying question potentially is, would there be value in us seeing
Yeah,
actuals to reforecast budget and actuals to long-term plan? And I know when the reforecast is done, we should have it in mind that we know when we've agreed those reforecasts at full council level. So we should have that in mind, but would there be some value in having that?
Well, the annual report always compares it to the LTP budget, so the original annual plan. So that, it's a high level comment, but all the bigger variances are documented in that, and part of that year-end official process.
And then I guess they flow on from the underspend in the capital program. That's the only way that then relates to the rate setting and things is interest costs on, or how that capital can be funded and how that flows through to the rating. Right.
Yeah.
So although we're 50 million behind,
So mainly flows onto the following year. So if less things are completed, you've got less depreciation that's flowing through, and your loans are essentially lower at the start of the year. So the next annual plan setting will be an adjustment to reduce.
So I guess like we're underspent by 50 million, it's not like we need to refund 50 million in rates, because that's not part of the rating calculation.
I'm just wondering, attachment B, there's a lot of numbers here and a lot of information, and you're kind of indicating that you would like to see like the full project, whole of life of project kind of cost or budget. Is there something in this table that we could take out to kind of fit that in, so we don't make this even bigger?
Yeah. Is it a whole of life, or is it like a trend or something? For me, it's kind of, because that's in governance, you're trying to look for like those trends or things like that. I don't know. Like in the page, when you have the page with the percentage, like those ones. I mean, I'm a visual person as well, so it would be interesting to see that in some kind of. Like, you guys are the experts. I have no.
I'm not following what exactly you're trying.
Like from
Are you talking about more than just this year, or
Yeah.
just current year, or are we talking about?
I kind of am talking about current, but what are you
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, there's a lot of information in there, and it is quite detailed. I get, I know, so that is the underlying fundamental that we over commit at the LTP stage or any plan
Yeah.
stage for what we think we can deliver in the capital program. Is that something we just maybe need to get a little bit better
It's generally, you're forecasting a best case scenario like this, if everything goes to plan, this is the way we see it, but life is not that simple and things.
And I understand.
And you have to have more in case one goes under, so you have to do that, that's what I was thinking instead.
Why do we forecast a best case scenario? Why do we not forecast a realistic case scenario, given
That's what
this is
needed. This
because
is
when
what
you
my,
look at-
you know, constantly this is the
Mm.
discussions with project managers all the time, but you know, there's always a concern that they don't want to go over budget.
Yeah,
So they build in a certain amount of contingency, which is contingency is quite a hard thing to manage. It's, you know, do you just chuck it out in the next year, even though you know that your project's forecast to complete it this year? You know, actually we sometimes try to get it to do that, even though it would make your, if you delivered it perfectly, then you might have an overspend in the current year, which is not a good look in a project manager's perspective, but we're trying to encourage, well, actually, it's not a bad thing because we can actually just bring forward at the year end. What we see now is there is more projects where we do go over a bit and bring it forward at the year end, and that's not such a bad thing. in my opinion.
the issue is that we're rating for a best case scenario. So the community is paying rates for interest costs, depreciation costs for best case scenario. So they're paying potentially more rates than what they're getting stuck for.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
and that's always the issue, and we don't really highlight that. So I think we need to
But
probably.
the rating effect is minimum, really.
It's not
Well,
a year after it's completed.
Clearly, like, I mean, if we are not delivering on, you know, 20, $30 million worth of capex, the interest cost of that, you know, at 4% is not insignificant. And then if you're adding a depreciation value to that stuff that's not completed, I mean, I guess that's maybe what we need to see the figures of. If something's missing, maybe it's that we're not seeing how much we are overrating.
The
Maybe-
depreciation, the assumption is that it gets capitalised by the end of the year, so the depreciation only
So maybe
from
the
the following year.
depreciation's on the
That's not-
interest cost will be at different times, but I guess what I'm saying is there's a missing piece of information there. It's like, we don't understand the quantum, how much are we potentially overrating people for, assuming best case scenario. And if we don't want to take that risk because there's an affordability risk there, maybe we can start to send some direction from governance that we don't want to consider best case, we want you to be more conservative. And that, and, you know, if that sort of brings down the rates a certain amount.
I think best case is conservative view.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is we can't see it. So I'm not arguing which case we should run with. I'm just saying what data don't we have in front of us? And
Yeah,
that's,
but the point is, it's a forecast, so it's made up. It's always going to change. It's never going to be right.
no,
So there's always going to be assumptions underlying it. And
Agreed.
Yeah,
And
we
that's
don't want to
fine.
underdo that.
so our assumptions are what, I guess, determine the outputs, and the output might be more or less overcharging in rates. And so I think it's just a case of, I'm not making a judgment on where it should sit. I'm making a call that as governance, we should have some oversight of what is the quantum. It might be negligible, but we don't know. You see
Yeah,
what I'm,
good discussion.
does that make?
Anything else?
And I'd encourage you through the LTP to sort of look at the phasing of projects and see if they look realistic, because something I
Yeah.
try and do at the time, and you don't have all the detail of the breakdown of what the design is, and the consenting.
And we get that
construction costs.
information through the reform.
If something just,
Never-
someone to
yeah.
just look at it and go, it does not look phased, you know,
Yeah.
it's too achievable, you know, so it's.
I guess the thing is, people, we are underspending on capital. We're never meeting our forecasts, so we're always rating for too much interest. But the rates always go up the year after, and it always gets spent one way or another. And so we're not delivering on what we said we're delivering on. The money is being spent on other things, and we need to be really careful that we understand all of that, how it plays out. In some detail. And just on that, it would be really useful if you could separate in the reporting the depreciation and interest costs, because they're kind of different things. So it would be help us sort of understand what's going on if you could just separate them.
Yeah, that's like that.
It's just generally
The
they're
overall level,
they're all
the-
together,
like the each,
multiple pages.
like the financial position, operating expenditure, interest and depreciation group, one on one.
Yeah, it's
If
page
that could be
20. It's there, but it's through the tables as well.
Cool. Any more questions? I had a question on,
I do, if we've got time.
the vested assets,
That's
way up year-to-date actual from budget, is that just time?
No, I mean, the LTP was quite low, the best assets that we had, so we based it on a 10-year average. What we saw was there was some huge fluctuations. You know, you might go 100 million one year, but then a lot lower the next year. But what we seem to see is we're getting those 100 million, you know, that's significantly greater amounts than we ever had every single year now. So it is quite a problem for council, and that's one of the things that flows through as well to, you know, when you're budgeting the future years for all your maintenance and also depreciation is quite a
Yes,
big problem, because all of a sudden you get given these assets, some of it we've got no control over. You know, when you develop it, does thing all these fast track things that just give us these assets, and then we have to wear the depreciation costs and then the maintenance costs. So it's a really big issue for this LTP.
So I guess the key control there is that they're complying with our code of practice. We wouldn't accept the assets unless complied. So that's our key control mechanism.
yeah. It's just that if we hadn't spent, if we did manage to achieve our CapEx goals, our best case scenario, I guess our OpEx and depreciation and interest costs wouldn't balance out as nicely as they have. You know, because they're pretty much, the combination of the two is pretty much landed where we predicted, but presumably less of that is interest costs and more of that is depreciation costs, and that's why it'd be good to see them separate.
Yeah, you don't often see the depreciation often won't make sense until you get to the very year end, because it's a timing thing of when things are done. So really, you've got to look at that in June, unfortunately. I mean, occasionally you can see it.
Yeah.
If you've got some, I mean, we did capitalise Arterra this year, which is quite significant, biggest capitalisation ever. But generally, a lot of capitalisations happen in June because we have to wait for the last claims.
Yeah.
All those road and renewals.
And we're in June, but we're not looking at June. Yeah.
We had on this, what's the date, the 18th of June, to look at June. Last one, Nikki.
Oh, crap, what a quick one.
I'm just checking.
Look, I will be quick. It would be useful to see some trends over the years on the maintenance renewals around weather events. And I had a question around, you know, when something blows out, you know, how much of it's renewals, how much of it's maintenance, but I can take that offline, but it would just be useful to see because we're not budgeting for it. You know, we're lucky that other things were favourable and this went over, but can we get a trend so that for the LTP we understand what we need to budget if it's consistent? That would be helpful. I'm interested in debtors analysis and Three Waters renewals. Are we coming to that? Would you just ask them now?
That's in this report.
It's in the item, yeah.
Yep.
It's just so one question is just around Three Waters renewals. We've got it down there that it's all green light. Forecast is going to be, you know, a complete 100%, but as we stand, it's sitting at 75%, 62%, 45% for the different. Why is the PMO so confident? Well, it's not PMO, is it? Why is the team so operations and maintenance? Why are they so keen that we're going to hit bang on 100 when the others are all sitting red light on their forecast at the same current level of completion?
I mean, they based it on actuals and commitments, so they've got the commitments there, and it's dependent on Veolia.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the renewals are all just Veolia doing the construction, so a lot of it's you know, they've done the design, everything's ready to go. That's what.
When do we? Is there a point at which we check the information that we're getting is forecast? Is there a point where we check whether it actually eventuated or whether the forecast was? I guess what I'm looking for is trends in different departments that show who's looking at things with rose-tinted glasses and who's being realistic in the information they're reporting to us. Is there a sense check at some point?
At the year end. I mean, generally, a lot of it goes into the annual report, which is sort of that high level, but again, we do still do it each month. But
we don't cross-reference, and it's just a case of how can we get. Would be nice to know someone in the organisation is checking which departments are forecasting accurately and which ones aren't, because we need accurate information. So, It was just a thought. And the other thought was just around the debtors. We've got, 6.3 million at 90 days plus, but how much of that is a year old? How much of it is there more of a breakdown we could get around 90 days plus? Maybe, I don't know which. 1 year, 2 years, I don't know. Would be helpful.
We have that in the later in the papers.
Was that in the detail? I don't think I saw it in that legal detail, but maybe it's maybe it just says 90 days. Thank you. There is a whole item on it, yeah.
Question.
You done, Nikki?
Yeah, I'm done.
But not next question, coming back to the question I really was asking about was, we're in a reasonably good position with our net operating, but that's because of this unusual revenue increase that we've had. In terms of commercial leases, is there a way that we can actually get a bit more accuracy on revenue from commercial leases? Why was it such a surprise? Was that the bulk of that increase in revenue? Oh, someone here to ask.
What page is that?
I'm just looking at the graph.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming some came from enforcement with freedom camping, the other ones.
Some significant gains from freedom camping.
Was that the bulk of it?
For it. So there's application 900K for that. There's an increase with infringements, with traffic parking infringements as well. So that's really going well. We had recovery with regards to the environment, the waste transfer station, a lot more volume going in. So some of that's reflected in the cost, but that's also
That's maintenance.
done. People.
Also commercial leases, it's based on the turnover of those leaseholders, so we do get
Oh, so it's a renewal of the rent potentially.
the lease that we have, they have a clause which we get some of their profit share.
The profit, like you say, turnover.
That you can't.
No, so we've had a good year, so we,
Well,
Some of it is going to keep going.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
in terms of the parking enforcement fines, any prediction on what that may look like next year? Is that going to taper off as people?
Not really. Is that well? At the moment, we've got the impact of I guess people not paying their tickets tempers that down a bit, but not the favourable variance is still greater than that, and that trend is continuing. So really hopeful that it will continue. I think in terms of people learning, potentially comes from visitors, so there may not be the impact of that learning curve.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe more for local residents.
So it's something that we potentially might budget differently for.
Yeah,
Forecasting that we may get more revenue from that.
Yes,
Not that that's our
definitely.
goal, by the way.
certainly looking at that. We had some additional NZTA subsidy
Yeah.
from the emergency event as well as approximately 800K, which that's not something as we look to plan into the future. We don't know for sure we're going to have an event, so it's becoming more regular. But on that basis, we can't assume that NZTA will fund and we can put it into the budget for something that may not happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
a roundup of what I'm kind of hearing as potential actions or questions.
I've got one more question.
Yep.
Says the carry forward in the CapEx for the pool heating for the QEC want to get in our town. Are we going to get a heated pool in our town this summer? Is that a question?
All guns blazing, trying to get their one done. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tender actually closes today, so work in progress.
Oh, shoot.
So I had from Nikki that could we look at maybe forecast trends and see potentially who might be overly ambitious in their forecasting OpEx, yeah, or the CapEx as well. CapEx.
Well, it was the CapEx program that I was looking at, but anything is a principle would be useful as long as it's not too much work.
Okay, also Nikki had around interest and depreciation, just having that split out whenever we can in our reporting. Councillor Wong raised about elected members' costs and potentially making that explanation a bit more clearer.
Just so no one picks up on a headline.
We talked again, Nikki, I think around the trend in weather events and that maintenance renewal split.
Yeah,
Maybe getting some commentary around that in the next report. And also, Nikki, around the rates impact potentially of a capital program, what that depreciation, interest, the potential impacts. Might be.
yeah, and the wash up, what's it costing us to, what are our assumptions? What's the overlap?
And then there was just something around in the table, attachment B, whether we could have the whole of life of the budget of that capex. And there was a particular column that we could take out to make some space, would be great. We could have an indication of which one you find less useful.
We take that away.
Yeah, yeah. And that'll save us having to make it even smaller font.
Yeah, well, on that note, a resolution is required, the resolution being that the Smart Finance Committee note the content of this report. Anyone move that? You, and a second? Okay. All those in favour? Motion is carried. You. Thanks, guys. Are you here for item 2? No?
I am.
You are? You're in Miles. You're in Miles today.
Actually thrilled about
You get me for the
Last two.
Can you be quite as explanatory as Miles?
Probably not.
They were unable to attend, so we're just tabled.
So the first comment you have to make is that the report now out of date. Yeah, okay, so happy to table the report as read. Miles is absent today. Was there anything in the Treasury report anybody wanted to raise or discuss?
No, only if Miles was going to be here, it's just sort of trying to get indication of what inflation might be next year and particularly in construction. He would have talked to you about it on that probably.
Yeah.
Well, see, Trump sorted out the issues in Iraq, so inflation's going to be negative.
Well, I've heard on contrary to that.
Depends on the day.
So one of the reports that gets produced to help us with the long-term plan is a report on inflation.
Yeah.
All the indices that construction, salary and wages, all the government indices that we use, and there's an organisation called Berl, B-E-R-L. They will produce a report for us, and that will be the basis of our inflation assumptions that we will use in the long-term plan. So that'll be coming, I think it's due in the next month. Yeah. It's a really used by all of local government.
Can we look back at that report and see how accurate it's been? Just out of interest.
We can look at the comparison to prior and just make sure that we're following trends and everything. And we do that as part of the LPP process. We look at the
You meet any economists?
just in there.
They get it wrong. They get it wrong on purpose.
So the Berl report would be some sort of PPI, council inflation, asphalt, steel, concrete.
That has all those, yeah.
If you could,
Back pages and pages of
Yeah.
different indices that people can pick and choose and go. Yep.
so if you could forward that, that
Use that.
would be really helpful.
Yeah,
I'd love to see
we'll do
that.
And I heard a 7% figure thrown out.
With every good watch, I need to see that full the executives.
Okay, we'll get that to you.
Okay, once again, resolution required for item 2, the Smart Finance Committee note contents of this report. Anyone want to move that? That's all. Dickens. Glenn. All those in favour?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Item 3, reserves and investment update.
Yes, so I'll just take this paper as read, but I do understand there was a question about how we allocate different
types of our assets and we just follow accounting standards for that. So to determine whether investment heritage, whatever. is-
You can ask your question on that.
Was that the answer to that question?
Was it?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you feel?
Didn't know. No, so it's like in that table, obviously we have a lot more property and I just wondered, you know, for example, Ladies Mile, it's obviously not an investment property, but it could bring investment money if someone buys something, if we choose to sell part of it. So how does that differ compared to an investment property, like in the policy to it not being an investment property with the money, or I can't think of something else that might happen to it. Even the ministry wanting the land compared to an investment property might be different. I don't have a clue if we're allowed to just sell investment properties, if we're, the rules around things like that.
Well, what we are starting to do is start to look through every single year end to ensure every single asset that we have is classed appropriately.
Yeah.
So that would be something we would look at. So if there were something that we were building and it changes because it's built now and it's a different type of asset or what happens with it, we would reclass it to the correct asset that it should be following those standards.
So what is Ladies Mile sort of classified at in their balance sheet?
I would have to look that up. I don't know off the top of my head.
Not
unfortunately.
Do we have other significant property holdings that aren't included here?
Yeah,
Right.
These
Just the ones that have the items, those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've just gradually unearthing the balance sheet for you. So just picking bits of the balance sheet in each meeting, we're going to bring different parts of the balance sheet. So this is just part of,
Yeah.
But so can,
On that, maybe need somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe property holdings that.
Yeah.
not
I would say it would be sitting in our capital program as a work in progress at the moment until we've shaped it into the sports field and then capitalisation, then it gets recorded as an asset.
Yeah, it might be good to know just what else is in that category. Think of Ladies Mile, what else?
View on this side.
well, it could be like, for example, in Wanaka, there's the rec centre, and then there's that piece of land to the side, and then if we go, oh, well, we will give that to the performing arts centre, it's just also about fairness, because is that a district-wide asset, but Wanaka's getting it, or same with here, that type of, I guess that's the information that I like to know, and how we,
You said maybe like Mount Island.
yeah.
That'll be reserved. Yeah. Which we would have probably lovely last time.
Yeah. That's that.
Okay. Got a new.
Different kind of angle. So the paper mentions the property acquisitions policy, 2014. When's that up for review?
So that is something that is falling under risk as part of, they're ensuring that all policies get updated on a regular basis. And
Right.
so that's something that they should be following up on.
So
to
what
ensure-
I'd like to do is actually recommend to the council that they direct the organisation to review this policy as part of the motion, so we don't just note this one, because it's a 2014 policy, hasn't been reviewed. We no longer have a property committee, so there are responsibilities in that policy. So staff are following it, but they don't have the relevant committee. The governance oversight kind of just goes by the wayside because we haven't aligned the responsibilities with our current committees and terms of reference. So at a minimum, it needs to be reviewed for that, but I'd say there are potentially other things. So just to get the ball rolling, we could recommend that full council direct staff to review the policy within the next X timeframe, or maybe the council can decide what that timeframe might be, but I'd quite like to add that as part of the resolution, Chair.
Is that your committee or what?
What's that?
Isn't that risk and assurance committee?
Yeah, but it's a case of getting stuff just moving. I mean, risk can do it, but we can equally, given that we're considering a paper that talks about these properties and the use of the property and acquisitions policy, I think it would be useful just to get it going. it'll prioritise it amongst all the other policies that are potentially up for review.
Can I ask a
Um,
question around that, the officers? I was just wondering, is it the planned work to review that anytime soon, or you're not on the schedule at all?
I'm not sure they've come back yet. Yeah,
Okay.
find out.
I think it's been sitting like for ages. It's been mentioned before in the past because we've talked about, Lakeview and various things that, would otherwise have come to the property committee around terms of sale and things. Because that's in the policy. We haven't got those guardrails in place anymore. So, and there's also stuff in there around maximising value, but it speaks only to financial benefit. So I think we kind of moved into the wellbeing space a little bit since 2014, and I think it would be worth reviewing some of the direction in that policy as well, pronto, especially given we're going to be talking about asset recycling. And that was the other thing I was interested in, is when we get these reports, it'd be really helpful to understand sort of the property costs versus the revenue generation from some of these properties, because we will start to talk about asset recycling in the future potentially. And if we don't understand that, we don't understand.
Yeah, that's something you'd share, like a return on investment assets, maybe would be quite good to see. At a holiday.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now what do you think is appropriate?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we propose, because the minutes go through the CE report to the council. So we could,
So through the chair, so I have already prepared the chief executive's report, and it does include the report from this meeting. But if you add a resolution to it, I will have to amend that report before it's issued.
I think we need to be able to do that. Like, I don't think the
Yeah,
committee could be written ahead of the.
Saying that.
Yeah, I would still like to do it. I mean,
What was policy? Isn't that?
property and acquisitions policy 2014. Just recommend council review it soon. I don't know what sort of wording we can put a time frame, or we can just put it on high priority. Yeah, and then if it goes to the chief executive, if the recommendation is that the council direct, then it will go through the CE report and we will approve it as part of the CE report. We can always add a time frame then after staff have had a chance to consider the time frames.
Is there a work plan for policy reviews?
yes, as part of the compliance policy, which is in the Risk and Assurance Committee, terms of reference. We've got a lot of policies, over, I think Gareth said yes on Tuesday, I think
Yeah. And then we have,
100 odd policies, and we're just gradually going through making sure that they're
yeah,
being reviewed regularly, and it may be just they're perfectly fine and you can just roll them over, but we are progressively trying to get everything reviewed by December next year. So there is a dashboard that everyone can see their policies. So that was the first thing, because they didn't know that they had policies. But yeah, it's renewing them, making sure that they're fit for purpose and bringing them through to council and the committees.
Maybe not to keep this policy and consider the priority.
maybe on the work plan, of course, we don't know that yet.
And not doing it as.
Yeah, and if we direct it, that'll come through in the council meeting. Got a time frame.
Okay, so summarising, next one, we're going to propose the policy review of the wording.
No, I'm
You got that?
Yeah.
Don't need to pass anything.
I'd
well,
like-
yeah, it needs to be added to the resolution that the committee recommend that full council direct staff to review the property and acquisition policy 2014.
That's my recommended time frame.
And to add next time that we bring these investments to have some sort of revenue or return on investment. Yeah, return on investment kind of demonstration. And I think there's something around other land.
Yeah, just as part of that process of.
Yeah, if we upload bits more in the balance sheet, we will
and what it means.
disclose what other land parcels are recorded in our balance sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so resolution to pass, that Smart Finance Committee 1, note the contents of this report, and 2,
Recommend that
Full council direct staff to review the property and acquisition policy 2019.
Moved by councillor Cleary, seconded by councillor Wong. All those in favour? Aye. Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Well,
Item
Eddie,
4. Eddie. Feel like we haven't seen you for ages, Eddie. Right. We've bumped into you for trails there, come for a few weeks. Cool. Water Service Council Control Organisation report requirement to department. Years.
Yes, good morning all. So I'm presenting this paper today. As it's a last minute, apologies. Hence why you've got me. The report is just tabling our DIA quarterly update. Report is for noting and happy to take any questions that come.
no one else has got. Thanks, Patty. Just interested if this is going to be the approach just in future, it's just tabling the report to the DIA, or whether there might be some more sort of governance related reporting on how we're going, or this is just this plan so far.
Yeah, this is planned so far, and then obviously we're going to do this quarterly reporting to DIA, so that's why we share that. I think in October, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, that there was going to be like CCO monitoring will come through.
So I guess what I'm interested in is there's a number of risks, and this isn't necessarily going to the Audit and Risk Committee, Risk Insurance Committee. So how are we treating these risks? So there's a number of risks detailed, say, if we're looking at page 58. Risks for meeting these milestones, which are part of the accepted plan. Is there a treatment plan for that? How is that going? How are we managing those risks? You might not know, I understand.
I guess they're project risks, so they're as they're developing the setting up of the establishment, they are just observing these risks and they're trying to mitigate them, I guess, as they further develop the organisation.
And part of the establishment team as well, just getting into that phase now where we are developing a risk register.
Okay.
Okay, so that's coming through.
Great.
We've got treatment plans and all that. No, that's probably the next sort of layer.
That's fine, I totally get that. I guess what I'm saying is, in the next time we report this, because I'm guessing it will be quarterly, we have 4 reports, there are 4 reports to the DIA. It would be useful to have alongside this some additional detail, if it's not in the DIA's report, around how we're treating those risks. Unless, of course, it's coming to the Risk Insurance Committee.
The DIA also, this is the first report.
Yeah.
So also the DIA is going to mature and they're going to drill into this information as well.
Yeah. So just saying it would be useful as governance to a little bit more on that. The other thing is,
so yeah, perhaps just one thing that as well, that we a cadence getting set up within the CCO2 with the board reporting.
again, I can see where we're at. It's just that we are behind, so the risks are real. And there is pressure on the whole organisation, not just the Water Services CCO plan, but you know, everything else that we do. And that can come through risk and insurance, I'm sure. But the other thing is that part of, on page 59, we've got expected activity in the next quarter, which was 1st of April to 30th of June. So we've just about finished that quarter. And it talks about the things that need to be complete by the end of June or expected to be complete. Work stream planning, on all remaining program resources, complete program work stream planning for operational readiness and transition activities. So it'd be useful to know where those are at, and if there is a program, how we can, just getting some oversight of that program as governance and some understanding of where we're at and whether we're meeting the various milestones along that program.
Yeah.
It would be good to know actually even at the end of June, have we completed all the things that we said would be complete by the end of the quarter?
Yeah.
And look, I don't expect you to answer it now. I just think for the next report, it would be really helpful to.
So like the transition activities part, like we went through the transition agreement, which will come to us before the end of the month.
Yep.
Right. That's full council.
Yep. All those governance and incorporation milestones, they're all going to be achieved
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is, but when you look at the complete the program of work stream planning,
Yep, so
That-
they have
that's-
done that.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and you've got leads and all.
Yeah, there's all leads all established there, and we're down to level 3.
Yeah.
So into reasonable detail planning for those work streams, and then the next step is the real detailed steps for those
Great.
as well. It is moving obviously pretty quick too, and I think broadly the timelines are there, but then we've got to work in with the dependency for those timelines.
I guess I'm just saying if we're always going to get a report to the DIA that's kind of, you know, the end of, if we're getting expected activity in the next quarter, but by the time it's reported to us, that quarter is essentially over, it would be really useful to understand whether these things, you know, that we've said we're going to complete are complete. So a little bit more detail in the report around how we've, you know, what we've achieved, what we haven't, what the risks are, what has been mitigated, what hasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And more of the commentary, like,
What you're saying is like, we're gonna have a work plan and you'll know what's probably expected to happen in the next quarter.
That's right.
And if we can put these stuff like, you know, a likelihood of completion or not, or flag to us anything that you don't, that we've planned to do that we probably aren't gonna get done, I suppose. Which is
Yeah,
most of
yeah,
it.
the bigger is
Yeah.
there, yeah, what hasn't happened.
Yeah, what we've said to the DIA that we'll achieve by a certain
Yeah.
period, what have we actually achieved, what have we not?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's just
We
timing.
have what we have to, it's not going to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's the timing of this one.
Yeah.
And also
Early
these
days.
reports are 3 weeks in advance. We have to prepare them 3 weeks in advance of the
Mhm.
meeting. So
Yeah.
it is always going to be,
But it would,
Right,
even
dates.
if it's not in the report, if the officer could come
Yeah.
with something verbal to the meeting,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
works, and just make the information is up to date so we can get it.
Yeah, so the calculator is when you sit down and you know 3 weeks on from when the report's done, if there's anything you know that we should be aware of that follow that.
Yeah,
And you'd be-
yeah, take that lead from Mars.
Yeah, true.
Quick question, I'm not sure this is for you though. So is the name of the new entity QLBC3 Waters Limited?
that's what it's going to be incorporated as soon as we've got a constitution and director signed off at the council meeting. There is a branding exercise being worked on to come up with the final name.
So then it's incorporated name.
No, they're going to incorporate it with 3 Waters
Oh, I
Limited
mean,
as a placeholder name, and then it'll be rebranded.
But there was a few results and it's not incorporated, have we reserved that
We've reserved that name, yep. And once we have the constitution, we can then set that, incorporate that entity.
name? Yeah. questions? No.
Go ahead.
You've got time, you've got time.
All right, so resolution required, you've taken on board those, the additional commentary, we'd also like to see in future, so. Smart Finance Committee notes the contents of this report. I have someone to move it. Hugh to move, and second, Councillor Wong. Those in favour? Aye. Motion carried. So I hear you're going to be switching allegiances, Betty.
Allegiance,
The water institute.
Government opportunity. Yeah, so actually that's a good segue because I'll bring you up to the next paper. So I'll introduce Tanya, who's going to be the acting finance director for the 12 months or so. So it's been my replacement here. So Tanya's how long you been left?
Last financial.
Yeah, so prior to that had 8 years in Environment Southland as a CFO, so has a wealth of experience. Has done 3 LTPs, so really assuring to know that.
Didn't think I'd be doing.
Yes, so Tanya started with us a couple of weeks ago, and then just sort of go into that sort of transition right now. So,
Well,
Now, so just before you guys get started, so it's flagged in public excluded, there's a more detailed look at some of the individual debtors. But it's just, if anyone's got questions, just give it some thought as to whether it's appropriate for this item or the next one.
Get back to, so if we move into the next paper, it's the first of our two debtors updates. So I'm presenting again, just an apology from Victoria Harper, who can't make it today. So the first paper is just providing a high level overview of the council's debtors performance and the effectiveness of our collection activities. What we'd like to highlight is overall sort of seen an improvement, particularly in the rates collection. That has been our priority. And then this driven by stronger processes and increased uptake of direct debit and also the digital billing that we're doing as well. However, you know, the next priority for us is into that consent related debts, and that's our key area of risk, right? And we'll certainly dive deeper into that in the next report. And the team has increased focus in this area through more active collections as well, and that's why we're seeing some good progress in this space. So with that, happy to take any questions on the first debtors report.
Just a general question then, and maybe an observation. With the large scale consenting that we do in this district, do we have a higher proportion than most districts in consenting debt?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
You might be.
Yeah.
I can assure you that your rates debt is very favourable at
Yeah.
percentage.
Yeah.
You've done really well. And that 1%
Yeah.
outstanding, which is an outstanding result actually for the, considering the average size of the rates here. But I'm sorry, I can't answer the question about the consenting debt. One would imagine that, I think I heard the other day that we process as many consents or more. So I would assume that that goes hand in hand with the challenge with collection on through the RMA doesn't empower councils as much as we'd like it to.
Yeah, I think broadly because it's obviously high litigation in this area as well. Would be reasonably high, I suspect. But it's a good thing we can go away and
The only other thing I'd say is that we have done a process improvement in this area. So the whole debt collection, the debt process, and one of the outcomes of that was to hire a debt credit controller. But there was obviously lots of improvements that we've made in the process, billing earlier, you know, being clearer about when the debt's starting to be incurred. So yes, that process improvement stuff has really helped as well.
It's good.
Yeah.
Could I add to that, Chair, say that through the report, Victoria has pointed out constant improvement process, as Catherine's alluded to. The hiring of a full-time credit controller has been vital, because while the team were all assigned to debt collection, the skills and the time required to investigate and then unpick and work through, it's also about relationships, building that, working with P&D. So there are two people who are also assigned to P&D now to support disputes and just further build that up. And the introduction of progress invoicing is critical, so that there's not one huge invoice there. And we need to indicate to the consent holder applicant along the way what it might be growing to, because these can be very expensive processes.
Follow-up question to that comment then is, in terms of the debt controller's role, are they spending quite a bit of time conversing with whoever it might be that's overdue, or does it go straight to the debt collectors? That's where the conversation is.
It's all about communications and working with P&D to determine, working together and with the consent holder or applicant to determine.
It is certainly a last resort to go to the debt collection.
Yeah,
It's very few, isn't it?
it's the relationships and keeping that as an aggressive sort of method there, and just for everyone, which obviously takes time.
And how much did we say the postage?
That's a decent amount, $2 down 18, quantum.
Do we know the total volume amount that we've saved in postage?
We could calculate that.
Basically, $2 for ratepayers.
Yeah, 36,000 for installments.
So you look at that, pay for the debt controller.
Just interested in sort of the relation, this might not come up, because I've got it spread in my head, but the relationship between the rates remission and postponement and debt collection and how those things, the percentage of people who have been, you know, receiving support through those policies that then end up, you know, in the other part of the system. At what time does that happen? Have we got any information on?
It's probably minimal use, to be honest, of the rates remission policy because of the repayment plans we'll put in as the first step. Okay, so it's normally take the feedback and then we're encouraged to go into a repayment plan. And that solves, what can give you a percentage, but a vast majority.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering from a process perspective, if there's a way of putting, you know, this might be an AI kind of thing, because it would be complex, but is there a way of pulling apart the trends within the system? I'm just going to leave it there because I don't really know what I'm asking for. I'm just thinking it might be useful.
The total rates remission, correct me if I'm wrong, is minimal, right?
Yeah.
So the special cases only get a rate remission.
Policy
Charities
very
only,
Okay,
Yeah, non-supporting organisation.
right,
Yeah, but we're not seeing any coming through for hardships or anything like that.
okay.
That's the repayment plans and obviously the DIA rate rebate.
So they don't need the technical definition of hardship, probably.
Well, we just haven't gone that far yet. Yeah.
I guess just be useful to even hear anecdotal information about those discussions, and affordability is a big risk, I guess, for us going forward. And so, you know, rates or water rates at least are going to increase over time. It would be really useful to feed the information that we're hearing from that side of things back into some of our rates conversations and how we do that.
Yeah, it's probably how many applicants we're using because of the rates remission. I think that's our starting point.
I think the messaging I'm hearing in the rate space at least is that we don't have a major problem with non-payment of rates anyway, so it's going to be pretty.
It's always going to be 1%, still a lot of people, I guess. So
this is where
If
the
we
rate,
focus on 1%, not the 99%.
no, but there is a lot of people. They are real people. They are people with children. They are, you know, people that support our community and our businesses. So I just, even 1%, 1 in 100, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah, but not to confuse the people that are doing it tough in our community with the landowners and everything else. But
Just wanted to add to that, Chair, that I believe that from Victoria and Marianne, that movement for the monthly and direct debits will be on a weekly platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
even do weekly
Yeah.
or fortnightly.
It has made a massive difference to people's ability to budget to their salary.
Yeah.
And I think that in my past role, we saw that as well. There was a big uptake once we introduced that in terms of people's, and a huge efficiency increase, because we previously in council had many people automatically paying weekly, monthly, but the reconciliation from the automatic payment to the ledger was always difficult, but with the direct debit, it's the exact amount. So it's a big process improvement to have a direct debit, but it's also good for the rate payment, particularly fortnightly and weekly. You might not think it's important, but it's important to them.
Then we pay tax, you don't see them.
Hmm.
Just to start, and I think I just didn't hear you correctly. You said for us to be under 1% in terms of collectibles. What would be the comparisons with other councils?
3%.
Try again.
3% is what.
0, 1, 3,
3%.
3%.
3%. And
Thank you.
everybody aims, of course, for 0, but it's really not a reality. And sometimes you actually can't find the ratepayer. And it's also part of the problem.
You attribute most of that to direct debit.
A combination of the process improvement and the effort that the team have put in communications and payment plans, because we're allowing them to pay their current weekly, fortnightly, monthly, but we also need to have in place payment plans for those who have outstanding debt, and it allows them to gradually reduce that.
That's great.
just picking up on your point that we can't sometimes find the owner of the property. We're assuming, of course, that some of them are low-income households, but there's obviously a lot of properties, and I don't know what percentages, and I know it's in the report somewhere, but I forgot what it is, that they're actually high-value properties, but they're just ignoring paying their rates. What is that mix?
I can't answer that here, I wouldn't know, but there will be properties where we're sending an invoice to a property that they're not receiving.
Not receiving here.
Or they're external or overseas owners. So
Yeah.
The team will be able to tell us that, but that is just one of the issues with rates. Having the correct invoicing address, particularly if there's a sale transfer or.
So just a question from me on the consenting debtors. Do we still charge an upfront fee, like a deposit first in that consenting space?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but if those consenting debts are not paid, you don't get consent issued, right?
Building control, yes, but not resource consent. We can't legally
Yeah.
at the moment.
Not
unless
really
it's-
consent, but
So it's, yeah, you're sort of limited there.
the
with
code
the
can relate to all that sort of stuff. that can
Building
be paid.
control. that code.
Yeah, and the legislation there. It's a bit more.
Chair, I heard yesterday when asking this question that our legal counsel is submitted to the simplifying local government process around empowering councils or giving more authority to councils, because we have limited power, as you say, about some of those processes. So it's difficult.
Probably a question for that as well.
And the other thing I just wanted to bring out is we've been involved in the ratepayer assistance scheme and getting that developed. It's sitting with the central government and when we looked at that for our council, we did look at how many wrong payment plans and how many affordability kind of issues. And compared to other councils, we were significantly didn't have many cases. So for us, the ratepayers assistance scheme was not necessarily the rates sort of assistance was the encouragement. It was more the improvement loans. So that's what we were kind of pushing for. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's been a really good discussion. My understanding of this item coming to us is to give us the opportunity to see if there's a escalating issue, which I don't think we've got so well done. Anecdotally, I got to interact with the credit control team this week, and they do a great job. The complaint was there was only one invoice and then a follow-up phone call, but anyway, because he got paid. So no, it's great. I think they're doing a great job, man. It's a hard job to do. Dog registration. But I was going to dispute that. Right, so if that's all questions.
Round up that. Or,
Yeah.
so I had something about is our consenting debt high? You had that question. Would you like?
Yes,
us to
yeah,
come back
on average. So
On
definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Also, how many properties we don't necessarily know the address, or we're having trouble.
That mix of low income versus high income, well, very high income, high value properties that aren't paying on that register of 1%.
Oh, okay.
So knowing what the
one-
property value is of that 1% that's not paying rent.
And high value, how would you determine?
Sitting over 30
On 5 months.
a bit more realistic, isn't it?
Okay, and then Nikki, some trends around the rates for emission policy, affordability, kind of.
User discretion on that, I'm
Yeah.
just kind of throwing ideas out there. I don't need anything. I'm not
It might be the
anything
ratepayers
back on that. I'm just,
I think every time we refer to the policy, I
Yeah.
think it's not what the chair said before.
Yeah, no, nothing I said was requesting anything in particular. It was more of if it's
All right. So the Smart Finance Committee note the contents of this report. I'm happy to move this one. To see this other second. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Good job, guys. And we now move into PX. Make good time here. So the Smart Finance Committee agreed to publicly excluded from the following from the meeting. Agenda item 6, individual debtors update, and item 7, forward facing annual. Going to move that.
Second.
Councillor Warren, all those in favour?
Aye.
Got